And now we move on to a new segment that we're just starting, and that's the listeners' questions. And by the way, if you want to send us a question that you do not want on the email list, but you want to send the podcast crew a question, where there's a voice message, you go to our website, you could send us a message there or send us a question there. You could send it as a written text or you could send it as a voicemail. And that's by going to blindandroidusers.com. And in that contact us, you can send us your questions and things like that. So this week, we have an audio message from someone regarding the fact that the actions are not working well or actually not even working on his phone. And now here's that question that the listener has asked.
Hi everyone. Since updated to TalkBack 13.1, the new swipe method to access actions does not work. Whenever I access an action, it says action setting not enabled, while in the TalkBack menu they work. So when accessing actions through the TalkBack menu, they work. When accessing the TalkBack settings in the reading controls, customized reading controls, actions are not listed. So maybe it's some kind of bug, or I don't know. But in any case, I think that this will encourage more app developers to incorporate actions in their apps, because it makes things much easier.
John, you want to take a crack at this and maybe tell us a little walk around that this listener might find like a useful tool for next time someone comes across the same problem?
Sure. So I haven't been able to reproduce this, and I haven't had this issue myself, but it's a pretty bad issue because, as he explained, when you try to use an action, it says action's not enabled or something along those lines. And the problem with that is now that actions are the default granularity, the default action is activate. So like if you're on your home screen and you just want to double tap on something, that is now an action. So it won't even let you open up apps to get to the app. So this is a bad bug. It's very rare. I think I've only seen like 2 or 3 people with the issue. But yeah, in our mailing list, Warren, you actually suggested to somebody try clearing the app data for Android Accessibility Suite. And somebody did report back that actually fixed it for them. Obviously, you're going to lose all your settings and everything, and you're going to have to start from scratch if you've customized your gestures and anything like that. But, if your phone is pretty much broken at this point, that's what you're going to have to do. And like I said, this is rare, but I have seen people report that did fix it for them. So hopefully that solves the issue for the listener that sent us that message.
Where would they go in order to delete those settings?
Okay, good question. So you can go into settings and then you'll go to apps and then you'll find a list of all your installed apps. You'll go to Android Accessibility Suite. You'll open that and you'll just go to the storage section of that page. Once you're in the storage section, there'll be 2 buttons, clear cache, clear data. You're going to want to hit clear data and then it'll ask you if you're sure and you hit yes. After that, you will probably have to re-enable TalkBack. I'm not sure, but if it just completely turns it off and it doesn't turn back on, then just do whatever your accessibility shortcut is. So if it was to hold both volume keys, then just do that and it should turn it back on.
Will it remember that shortcut?
Yeah,
though?
Yeah, it does remember the shortcut.
Oh, phew, because otherwise that would be really annoying.
So the whole idea is that after you clear the data, what happens is like you're like starting your phone anew, but you're not starting your phone anew, but in reality, you're starting Accessibility Suite, anew. So you have whatever method you used, you have to use that. So you have to hold down those two volume keys like John had indicated, and then it'll pop up TalkBack, TalkBack Accessibility Suite, and then you go through, you can tab the close, or you can go through the tutorial as though you're starting it for the first time and things like that. And as John indicated, the problem with that is that you lose all of your customizations. So if you've created some gestures for specific actions and all of that, you'll have to go do that again. But then it's worth it because you're now able to use your phone again. And that's one of the reasons to do that. And sometimes these things happen because someone gets a major OS update and doesn't follow my doctrine of resetting to factory defaults. So things like this would creep on and now and then, but instead of doing a whole factory reset, then you could just go ahead and do this clearing of your accessibility and then go back and re-customize your TalkBack.
One of the most noticeable things might be, because some of us, we have our phones on a much faster rate than by default. So one of the most noticeable things immediately when you've done that might be how much more slowly the speech says things, so you'd have to speed that up, wouldn't you? And does it go back to the default speech as well, like the Google Voice or the Samsung Voice, rather than if you've got Vocalizer or something?
No, your
Presumably it would forget.
your TTS setting will stay, whatever TTS you have enabled will still be the default. But yeah, if you sped up the speech from within TalkBack using the granularities, then it's going to be very slow. And if you've turned off sounds or turned off vibration, like I've always turned off vibration. So that's the first thing I notice after I've cleared is that vibrations are back. So that's one of the first things I do is go in and turn that off.
Oh, you don't want those good vibrations.
No, they're a little too good for me.
Yeah, so it's the same thing with me. I have my sounds and vibrations turned off. And every time I reset that, of course, everything falls back to defaults. And therefore, you're going to hear all those bongs and bangs and all those vibrations that I find very annoying. And so you have to go back in there and re-customize your things back to what they used to be. But at least it fixed your problem.
Can you back up those settings?
That's one of the
those
things that I've been
settings.
talking about. I wish we could have something that we could back up our settings, just like those labels that we could create and backup labels and things like that. I think it will be a very good feature for TalkBack to implement so that if I'm going to be resetting my TalkBack or Android Accessibility Suite, I back up my settings, and once I reset, then re-import those settings, and I'm good to go. Something that needs to happen.
That would be good.
As of now, the only way to restore your settings is when you're setting up a new phone and you're restoring from a backup. It will bring all your settings over for that new phone, but there's no manual way to back up your settings and restore them yourself if you have to go and do something like this and clear the data. So yeah, it would definitely be, I would definitely use it a lot because I'm always like uninstalling TalkBack, reinstalling TalkBack. So I have set up my settings so many times. It would be nice to just be able to import them.
If you got a new phone though, presumably you'd be getting all your stuff on the new phone then, not just the accessibility settings. So that's a bit annoying that you can't just have the accessibility settings.
No, you do get your accessibility settings. For example, if I get a new phone and I sign into my same account, or the way I customize my TalkBack is going to be on that new phone. I'm not going to hear all the bings and bongs and vibrations, and all of my customized gestures are going to be there. And the same thing is like resetting my phone to factory defaults. And once I set it back up again, it grabs those from my backup of my data from my phone. But we would like to see a situation whereby if I, without resetting my phone, if I clear the data of TalkBack, I should have the capability of re-importing my settings, because at this point, the only way that that's going to happen is when you have to reset the phone.
Yeah,
well, that's stupid. You shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's there on the back end. Like they're already saving your settings and importing your settings. It's just all happening automatically. There's no way for you to be able to say, okay, I want my settings back. So it seems like it would be an easy thing to implement because, like I said, it's already there. They just don't allow you to get to it as the user and manually do it.
And that will be it for that question. Again, if you have any questions that you'd like us to talk about on the podcast, feel free to send it to us at contact@blindandroidusers.com, or you could go to our webpage, and from there you could leave us a voicemail or send us a regular text message, that is an email and all of that, and we'll read that here and answer your questions.